When I first came into my mediumistic skills, it was jarring, to say the least. I was searching for information, reading books, looking for experts, watching documentaries, all to try to make sense of what was happening to me. This led me to the Netflix series Surviving Death. In this video, I'm sharing 5 takeaways from my perspective as a medium that brought me comfort during that time. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell. You'll be notified each time I post a new video about all things mediumship. Plus, you'll get to see recordings of my own readings so you can see me in action and more information about how to communicate with spirit. I have been asked so many questions about the afterlife by my clients. As an evidential spirit medium, I'm always looking for the best proof possible. The Netflix series Surviving Death gives us a lot to think about. Here are my top 5 takeaways. Number 1, there is evidence to suggest that consciousness does survive the death of the body. Part of this documentary actually focuses on the study of near-death experiences. Researchers look for constants across cultures among people who have had an NDE, near-death experience. Here are 4 constants they've found. Those who have had an NDE report a feeling of time being expanded. They also speak of a warm, loving light. People who have had an NDE experience their senses becoming more vivid. Some may even speak of intense color. And lastly, they report feeling a sense of profound change in a fraction of a second. For those who are more skeptical and argue that there are no paranormal experiences or near-death experiences that exist, the counter-argument often points to drugs that may be taken by someone, a person who's experiencing mental illness, or even a lack of oxygen to the brain. However, researchers have found that the less drugs a person is ingesting, the more likely they are to have a near-death experience. Less oxygen, this generally causes people to become belligerent or frightened, but those who've experienced a near-death experience are often quite calm. It's powerful to hear that there are commonalities across cultures from people who report having profound experiences that often change them for the rest of their lives afterward. Even more fascinating is the fact that many of these people can recall specifics about the events that occurred while they were clinically dead. Names of people in the room, things that were said, objects that they saw, what took place. Surviving Death also has an episode about reincarnation. What do we make of the fact that there are children, usually between the ages of 3 and 5, who can remember past lives? Now, of course, children can make up all kinds of things as they learn to use their imagination, but how do you explain a child who remembers a life before this one that can be validated by names, locations, or events? A part of some of these children's stories is how they actually passed, and researchers have found that oftentimes a child's body may have a birthmark in a place that an injury of their passing occurred in a previous life. I find all of this to be wild. All of these discoveries, coupled with being able to validate with my sitter so many specific pieces of evidence that I bring through in reading after reading after reading, has convinced me that yes, consciousness does survive the death of the body. Number 2, the importance of mediumship ethics. Now I've got a whole nother YouTube video all about mediumship ethics that I definitely suggest watching. But a sitter in this documentary talks about how profound and healing it is when he receives readings that bring him messages from his past father in spirit. But he also talks about just how harmful it would be if he found out that these mediumship readings were fraudulent. Of course, it's no surprise that fraudulent psychic or mediumistic readings do exist. If you've ever heard about a cold reading, this would be somebody who is having you believe that they're bringing through someone in spirit when in fact they're focusing on reading your body language and reacting to your responses as they give information that may be more general first. A hot reading would be when somebody does prior research before you sit with them. Both of these are not ethical ways to give mediumistic or psychic readings, of course, which leads me to the responsibility of being a medium and giving readings. If you're giving readings, you're giving voice to the voiceless. And not just to anyone, but to past loved ones of the person sitting in front of you. Your words may greatly affect the person sitting across from you. Before readings, I always tell my sitters, I'm not here as a psychologist. I'm not here to diagnose anything. I'm not giving directives. I'm not giving advice. When someone is grieving the loss of a loved one, they are in an incredibly vulnerable state. They want to believe that you're bringing through a message from their loved one. But it's important to be transparent at the beginning that you have awareness of just how much you're words can affect them and to prepare them for what they may experience emotionally. This is exactly why I also love nitty-gritty evidence. In this documentary, they talk about how some people feel it's hard to find information that can't be found online as validation while giving a mediumistic reading. I'd have to say I completely disagree. If you think about what one person goes through in their entire life experience, there should be all kinds of inside jokes or evidence you wouldn't post online. A big part of mediumship ethics is empowering your sitter and letting them know that this reading is just a way to jumpstart their relationship with their loved one in spirit. Then you can discuss with them how to create their own signs and communication with that loved one so that they don't feel like they need to get addicted to coming to readings or rely on someone like me to connect with those people that they miss and grieve the loss of. And that leads me to our third takeaway. Our loved ones in spirit do send us signs. Now, throughout my own experience as a medium and researching mediumship and following other mediums who I really respect, I have found that there are some easy default signs. Things like coins found in your path, butterflies, ladybugs, birds, especially cardinals and blue jays. These are signs that come up in my readings often. Feathers, electronics doing funny things, lights blinking on and off. I would venture to say that if you're not sure whether your loved one sends you signs, it probably isn't because they aren't sending them. It might just be that you think you're making meaning out of nothing. After all, the human brain is very good about assigning meaning to various things. But I have found in my life that when my mind or my eye is drawn to certain things, it's a good bet that I'm getting a sign from a loved one in spirit. In surviving death, there are some wild signs that come through for a father who has lost his son. If there's a loved one in spirit that you'd love to receive a sign for, I really encourage you to ask for something specific and stay open to the way and the timing that you might receive that sign. Sometimes it may be coming through the lyrics of a song. It could be in a book. It could be on a billboard. It could be a live animal that you actually see. I do suggest giving it a little time, maybe anywhere between 3 to 4 days or 2 weeks. Sometimes these signs don't come right away, but you might be surprised when you ask for something specific what shows up. My next takeaway is something I geek out over all the time, and that is EEGs and mediums. For those of you who don't know, an EEG is an electroencephalogram. It measures brain activity. Some of my favorite mediums have had EEGs while they are giving a psychic reading or while they are doing a mediumistic reading. In surviving death, it's noted that while performing EEGs on mediums, especially when mediums are reporting highly accurate information of a past spirit, that brain activity is consistently measured in the gamma band, which is the highest level of activity that has ever been measured in humans. A researcher in this documentary points out that this would make sense because it's consistent with mediums reporting that they need to up their vibration in order to connect with a past spirit. This is absolutely something that I plan on doing because I'd love to help with research on mediumistic readings as much as possible so that we can bring more validity on a societal level and empower more people to feel comfortable receiving the healing that mediumship really provides. There's a quote in this documentary that really encompasses a thought that I have had for some time. It's short-sighted to think that we can only believe what we can see. It seems pretty darn silly that we think we know everything there is to know about life. We laugh at ourselves now for believing at one point that the world was flat. Many technological advances that we use every day and take for granted would be absolutely mind-blowingly unbelievable to people from past generations. Haven't you ever walked into a room and felt like it was welcoming, inviting, it had good energy? Or perhaps you've walked into a space where things felt heavy. You really wondered if there had been an argument there previously. What sense did you use to get that feeling? Why is it so wild to think we communicate as humans with more than just our acknowledged 5 senses and with more life besides other incarnated people? I think we'd be quite arrogant to not be curious in the least, especially since mediumship creates such a healing experience for so many people. That's not to say that skepticism isn't healthy, but if there really is more to life, wouldn't you want to let that knowledge enhance your current experience, bring you more peace, healing, or happiness? If you're interested in hearing more about all things mediumship, please download my free guide below and be sure to check out this next video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Then you'll be notified when I post my next video.